Now, the Eldorado Fortress, from a distance, obviously looks like a very impressive set, and for 2,509 pieces, set number 10320, having the refurbished classic box design, is a fantastic set for $215. You cannot go wrong with this set, whether you're a pirate lover who just wants to get themselves an Imperial Fortress, or you're just looking for something that's a really big build that's both impressive visually and also offers a lot in the capabilities that what you can do with this. So let's jump into it because there's a lot of goodness in this set. Now, this set includes a great collection of minifigures. You've obviously got yourself an admiral looking stunning. You've got yourself probably a colonel, corporal, lieutenant, and then some kind of lieutenant or private as well. So you've got a great selection of leadership, all looking stunning, with some regular old foot soldiers here to do your imperial business, and probably to fall off into the coast at some point because they're going to get shot up by a pirate or a pirate ship or some sort of crane accident. It happens, but you know what? Great selection. If anything, two more of the minifigures could have been imperial, but they do have a monkey. So I guess that potentially makes up for it if the monkey would focus. But it does not. Because, well, it wants to stay hidden and, well, climb up into the trees and do whatever it wants. And then fronting this assault in their rowboat of sorts, you've got two pirates dangling their colors, which, unfortunately, it is two pirates instead of Imperials for the Imperial garrison, but it's still good to get two pirate minifigures to go along with the two other sets that we currently have, which is the 3-in-1 here to pirate ship. And, well, unfortunately, Barracuda Bay is currently retired. But if you did get it while it was still available, it's going to be great to add to that collection. Especially since these rowboating pirates are definitely going to need some sort of help to even penetrate the defenses of this thing. So, let's jump into the various sections that this has to offer. Now, although the Imperials do not get a full barge, they do get themselves this mini carrier galleon, with two little cannon ports on either side, a little bit of a steering deck with a telescope to kind of, or scope, to scout out the area, a little bit of a hook to grab onto some extra swords that they might want, and a little bit of a cargo bay to hold on to any kind of belongings that they need to take with them, bit of a light at the back to help guide their way, and of course a little bit of a front bay for some extra garrisons or just some extra storage. Sails are well crafted and made of the slight cardboardish paper mache material, which does work very well because it gives it a slight bit of bend, and it also helps it kind of stay intact with a few little joints so that you can move around and properly align everything. It's a great build. It doesn't really have a crow's nest, but it does everything that you'd want from a small galleon, and it's a great inclusion that they actually gave the Imperials a ship to go along and kind of help them with this little fort garrison, and I think that is a very good inclusion considering the other ships, well, it's a lot bigger. So having at least something is better than nothing if you're going to be going toe to toe with this. Now, the first section is a great section given the fact that you get yourself access to a fully functioning crane. Now, the crane can move 360 degrees. Whether it will always be moving in 360 degrees is another question, depending on how you orient it into the build, because everything is a bit modular. But you get yourself the crane function to go ahead and lower and also lift this crate, which at the moment is full of a little bit of surprise goodies. If probably I should take it off the safely securing two little flint knocks there, just in safe storage, and realistically it's more tightly secured than most people would want to admit. Now, the front scaling of this build is very nice. They put a lot of intricate details into the little greebling that they designed. It's got this nice yellow archway and a little bit of rock formations next to the pier. There is this little gaping hole in the side, and it makes sense considering there's different archways that this can attach to, so there's a bit of an aqueduct there. The inside is a bit of a storage hold with some torches and also a ladder leading up to the, what I would imagine is probably the control bay, although it doesn't really act as a control bay. Still, it works as a tower, and you might want to be a little bit careful because sometimes you can drop the hook into some odd spaces, and then you're going to have to get some mechanics onto this thing and fix it, so it's going to really halt your production. Next up, we have this pier, but also an interior section, depending on how you want to use it, because obviously you can use it as a pier, given the rock face and a little bit of a stilt. So if you want to have more of a pier design to add on to the little front section here, this works well, or you can use it as an interior section to give yourself a little bit more space, given that it does fit snugly inside into this little space interior here, giving you a little bit more safe access to some of the interior elements. Still, it works really well. You've got this little dining section where everybody is very much drinking responsibly and eating nothing from the look of it. You do get this nice little switch that lets you drop down the trapdoor, so potentially stranding any pirates into the under section, which I think is pretty nice. You can put them in with the seaweed and the gunk, never have to see them again. Probably no sharks. The mechanism works by removing and taking a slight little joint. It's easy to reset. You just want to give yourself enough time, or just flip it all the way up, reset it. Good as new. A great feature, great little port section. A nice addition with some extra details that most of the time you won't see, but it's still good that they're there. Obviously incorporating some of the clips that are used to keep the set together and take it apart easily. Next up, we have a bit of more of a beach section, concluding with some palm trees, also having a parrot up there, nice little perch for him. Obviously moving back around because we've got a little bit less detailing here, but that makes sense as it is obstructed. But moving on to the sides, you get a bit more with the interior containing a broom, some extra storage, which is a thing that they've really included here, with the barrel being empty. But I think it's a fun aesthetic little touch to at least have something that appears to be working as more storage, and then obviously a little bit of a sword holder, with underneath being a little bit of a wine cellar. Nothing in the chest, but you do get a little bit of a frog and a torch that you can see. The under pathways are a bit interesting in access-wise, considering they're mostly covered up unless you physically take it apart like this. So it's not the most intense play feature, but I think having it there is better than not having it, with the up top deck having a rotating cannon, which can be taken off given the wheels, so that you can use it as like a frontal assault. Or if I bring back the galleon for a second, there we are, not messing up the sails too horribly, you can put it up at the front and have a little bit of extra firepower if you need it. We also have this little bit of a fort section, which doubles as a prison, having a bit of these nicely designed windows with some dark greebling here. There's a bit of another window here for a shooting hole like we have up at the front, which we'll cover in a second. A lot of great detailing with some plant life, a crab, a little bit of a waterfall escape hatch, with some more rock greebling, a lot of little small touches, some more detailing in the yellow and also the white, with another bit of a roof, with some stairs that lead you up into this upper section. Down below, we have a bit of a trapdoor, which allows you to get down into the other side, which has some gold, more gold and coins in there, which is great. You've got this little bit of a corner, so nothing too crazy to get in there. You've got some pirate that wasn't very fortunate when he ended up in this dungeon. We'll access the dungeon in a second, but there's a bit of a key so that you can unlock the door, and a bit of a torch so you can see if your prisoner is still in there at night. Now, the roof is removable so that you can access, but there's also this window access port, which allows you to access the main play feature of sorts for this prison. Aside from just the straw bed, which is going to be very uncomfortable, you've got this little hole where, if I can demonstrate with this crab, if you put something down there, it'll end up back down here, which I think is a nice little escape plan. So if you're doing a pirate raid, you can obviously shoot one of your cannons to knock down this window, and then go ahead and rescue any survivors that you need to. And finally, we have the little grand section here, which is the largest of the sections, having a little bit of that pier extension that I talked about, with an upstairs segment so that you can access it from the pier down below. Another one of these palm trees, which I do recommend that you stick the tan connector piece a bit further into, just so that they stay stable, because otherwise they're a little bit jittery and can fall out. But the pier itself is very nice. You enter into this rebuild section, which also looks very nice. Also having these stud connectors so that you can go ahead and put your minifigures up there, walk the entire garrison up the doors. And well, if you're not dealing with your own garrison, you can obviously use this firing post up here and this conveniently placed cannon to kind of fire upon. You are going to be damaging your own property, but better to damage your property and have your garrison come out on top. Now, upstairs we have this little bit of a captain's deck, which is a pretty small area, but it does have a nice window with a little bit of functionality in the fact of a map so that you can overview the area, a quill so that you can write some letters, and also candles so you can see at night. Moving up, we have another cannon. This time it's an immovable one, unlike the one down there and also on this little balcony post. But you do also have the great Imperial flag here with some cannons. It looks great. It's big. We haven't seen one of these for quite some time, so it's good to get one. And the entire build comes really nicely together, especially when you see the presence of this entire thing. Now, we do also have a few small details, like 2 weapon racks, one on this side with some weapons, one on the other side without some weapons. So you get some extra storage, a nice little cooking pot with some extra utility in this bag, a torch, a key, and also another weapons rack right on the door. So if you're busy and need to grab a few weapons pretty quickly, you can go ahead and fight at the front lines immediately after. There's a little bit of a storage bay with a crate with some coins and a torch so you can see if you're going into this cave area. But there's also one more hidden surprise, which is this little crate in here in the side of the wall, which contains a secret hidden letter, just in case you need to send a distress call, but you don't want anybody to know where you're hiding it. So, a lot of great functionality in this set, a lot of great displays, but let's see some other configurations. Now, what you can do is you can create these larger front, where you can also attach the pier at the back here if you so choose, or you can remove it as it is attached by 3 clips, and you get yourself this more of a front-facing fort with the little crane off to the side. And I think it works well if you want to have more of a just kind of horizontal display with a bit of just profile. However, I feel like for most people the compact design is going to look quite well because you've got more of a fleshed out fort, and that's kind of the same thing when you've got a castle, whether it be the new one or one of the old ones, where kind of the box design where you've got everything kind of configured so that you've got everything surrounded. It appears nicer in some configurations like that, or you can try one of these wider configurations if you have the space and you kind of want to have a bit of a front profile for, let's say, the ship, which you can fit in here, or another one of the larger pirate ships is kind of an attack formation. And I think that both ways works. You can definitely have some fun and action with this orientation, and you can definitely try some other creative influences just to try and see what works best for you. And I think that's kind of one of the draws of this set, is that not only are you getting a great garrison, but you also get a bit of a modular touch as to how you want it to feel, how you want to display it, how you want to play with it. So I think that's granted, most people are probably not going to be buying this as a playset, but for those that are, and for those that aren't, you definitely have a lot of choices when it comes to the set. And I think that is definitely a draw, and definitely part of the beauty of it is that, well, it is very, very beautiful with its tropical aesthetic, and definitely the more finished look than the Barracuda Bay Island after you take the Barracuda Bay ship off of it.